Hello, we are here with another episode of The Music Prophet. So we're a bit behind, but we've been kind of behind the scenes making some footage.
It's my fault.
A little bit.
I did it, yeah, it's my fault.
I mean, I would say the camera's also at fault because it's been on the whole time, you know?
Yeah, but we're having our own little conversation, so
We
it's
were.
been good. Yeah, we've already kind of started, so the audience hasn't heard it, but it's been good so far.
So my guest today is a local musician who is playing at the CKLU fundraiser show, but
Yes, sir.
he's done a lot of things over the years. He's I feel like musician is limiting because content creator is probably a better term.
Thank you for saying that, actually, because I find like a lot of people put me in a box or a bracket when they either know me for specific things, but yeah, I do a lot of different things. I've been in film, I do music, graphic design, own businesses and whatnot. So yeah, a lot of different things. I wear many hats depending on the season.
Yeah, so as a musician, you go by Brandon Burkley. So
Yep.
kind of take us through, what got you started into music specifically?
Music specifically, wow. Probably when I was a kid, actually. I think that where it really sparked off is my mother, Maria. She would be, in the kitchen cooking or something like that, and she'd be playing music on this little stereo system that we had. And I used to learn Michael Jackson songs or MC Hammer. I'd dance along and sing along. So I think that's really where it started. I kind of taught myself to sing, but while listening to other artists that influenced me, and then from there I just had a passion for it. So as I grew older, in about high school, I started trying to form bands. And I think that's where I became more serious about it and realized, you can play shows and you can record music and actually do something cool with it. So that's probably where it started.
Because at first it's just for fun, right?
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah.
You just write things and you're like, wow, that sounds good.
I think music is always for fun. That's one of the things everybody should enjoy it first. If you're doing it, just try to make a career out of it. That can be stressful. Even I've kind of tried to do that, and I think at some points, if you're not enjoying the journey, then maybe take another look at what you're doing. Maybe.
When you look back though, and this is a really deep dive for being the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, cool. Let's do it. This is
that's a show, so
yeah,
fits,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, let's do it.
But when you look back at the journey, dude, is the way that you actually make music, is it still the same as when you were 10 or 14?
If I'm completely honest, I think when I was younger, music was very real for me. So there's a lot of artists that I used to listen to that I connected with on an emotional level, I think. And that resonated with me and impacted me to the point that's why I like music so much. But in the past decade or so, I think I kind of got caught in a little bit of a wave of trying to write music specifically for trends. And I think that was wrong. I didn't really enjoy that. It made it kind of less of an enjoyable factor. So I think, writing, when I was younger versus writing now has actually become kind of the same. But I did go through a period where I don't think I was writing kind of true to myself. And now it's a lot more emotional, impactful, and I'm being a lot more vulnerable with it these days.
And that's where the line of authenticity in music comes through too, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you listen to a lot of stuff, and we were talking about this earlier, is I'd like to write a song that lasts. I want to have something that somebody's maybe in high school right now and they listen to it, and then in 15, 20 years they're on a road trip somewhere and they say, that Brandon Burkley song that I remember that, maybe helped them get through a hard time, or maybe, it's a party song or it's a good summer vibe, something like that. It depends on the mood, right? But I want to leave an impact. I want to have something that actually matters to people instead of just making music that's here today, gone tomorrow.
Is that your audience then? Someone that's in high school, someone that's trying, kind of like a younger you?
I'd say that's probably where I think most people do listen to music. That's where the main demographic probably is, or people that buy music or, subscribe to Spotify, etc. But I think it's for everybody. Because, I go through different things in my life. I've written a song recently, we're writing with a band right now, more of a kind of pop-punk album mixed with hip-hop. But it talks about being engaged, and having that kind of go wrong. So I think anybody can relate to it. I don't try to specify a market, but that's also why I try not to talk too much about what my lyrics mean, so that maybe somebody can relate to it in their own way, and I don't say, that's only for somebody this age or who's going through that. If you hear those lyrics and it makes sense to you at whatever age or process in your life, good, it's for you then.
That makes me kind of curious then, when it comes to you actually consuming interviews and content.
Mm-hmm.
Do you watch interviews where the artists are talking about what a song means, or are you looking more at the process?
That's interesting. maybe both. I think I like watching the process of how people create and what they maybe go through, but I think the lyrical content is important too. What the message that what they're saying is really important. I can't say I really focus on either though specifically. Probably it's more of a feeling that I get from music. That's what draws me towards it. If I listen to a good beat even, sometimes the lyrics aren't the best, but the beat kind of works. And maybe it just instills a feeling with me, or I take those lyrics, like I said, and I make them my own. You know what I mean? I kind of relate to it on my own level rather than like, oh, this song's about that or yada yada.
I feel like trap music is all like that.
Yeah, like a lot less substance to it, you mean?
Less substance, but it has more actual emotional feeling.
Yeah, so some of it depends on the artist, I guess. I think the new wave of artists is kind of cool. It's coming out right now, because you're getting this mix of like hip hop with that kind of punk melodic vibe, and I think that's really interesting because it's been a blend of what I used to do more in high school, which is like that kind of pop punk stuff, and then like hip hop's always been a love of mine. But to be completely honest, my skin tone being a little bit paler, I felt like maybe I don't fit into that demographic specifically. But as we've grown, I think the culture and the narrative has kind of changed, where it's been more inviting for a lot of people. But as far as like trap music goes, it depends on the artist. You know what I mean? Depends on the depth of the artist.
Mm-hmm. Because it's also lyrically, you almost have to like turn your brain off sometimes too, obviously.
Yeah, some of it's just for fun. I think that's the thing, is like, you go have a couple beers, you're at a party or something, and you trap, something that's repetitive like that, or something just kind of sticks in your head. Yeah. But I mean, like, there's a couple artists that have done some different stuff that has been impactful, in different ways, from trap music. Or I try to write, like a lot of my beats are trap inspired, but I try to be pretty melodic with it. I think when I first kind of started out, I was going more, trying to be a very trendy, kind of gimmicky, kind of lyrical.
One-hit wonder type of thing, right?
Yeah, and then you kind of get over that, because then I realize it's just like my audience that I've started to grow now is more like they want to hear about the real stuff that's going on in your life. And I think an audience wants to get to know you, because it's one thing to put out a song that they like, but if you want to keep an audience or build an audience or relate to an audience, it's good for them to know who you are. You know what I mean? To actually like put in a song and say, hey, I'm going through this, or I'm experiencing this in life, or this is my struggle. Because like who can relate to somebody that's just like, man, I got all these gold chains and these sweet sneakers and this dope Lamborghini. That's not super obtainable for everybody. You know what I mean? So like the common audience listening to that, it might be a dream for them, but I think that's a younger audience right there. You know what I mean? They're kind of looking at that, like that life perspective from high school. Like, I got to impress my buddy, so I got to wear, this cool piece of clothing or whatever, and yada yada, which I think is all right too. Like, I love fashion and stuff too. People got different opinions about him, but he said something really cool in an interview, and he's like, he wore gold chains and it pissed people off. They were like, oh, Kanye's so egotistical and stuff. He said, but he lived his whole life with people saying, you can't do this, you can't have that, you're not going to do it. So all of a sudden when he had that available to him, he was just like,
of course I'm going to do it. Watch
this. You know what I mean? It was more like a middle finger to some people. And I get that if you're coming from his perspective. So I don't know, it's all on how you look at it.
Yeah, and it's because a lot of people don't know context, right?
Right.
Especially in music now, you see so many names come and go.
Right. Yeah.
That you really have, unless you put in the time to research them.
I hate to say this, but and this was said by somebody else, I can't remember, on a radio interview I was watching on YouTube. But how many people from this generation right now do you think are going to last? Like, how many Michael Jacksons are we going to have right now in this generation? I don't think people are going to be talking about a lot of artists from right now like they did, like Zeppelin or something, you know what I mean, that just lasted through the ages. Mm-hmm. It's kind of going to become a thing where it's like I said, like, and this is from a Drake album, but here today, gone tomorrow. You know what I mean? A lot of that kind of substance. And I think that's good if you're looking to fill your pocket, if you're just literally trying to get a Lamborghini in your front driveway or something. But I think if you have a real passion for music, you should probably look beyond that,
Yeah, it's tough, man. There's not a lot of artists that are at the level of like Prince or Kamasi Washington,
right,
type style.
Most will never get there. You know what I mean? I think being realistic about that too is a good thing. We talked about this when we first started. Is like, don't do it just to make money. To find a career is a good thing, but a career doesn't mean you have to have $1 million in your bank account. You know what I mean? There's some artists that I know that go on tour and they make $40K a year. You know what I mean? Which is great money too. But
that's great for a tour. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same, it's like they're not out there, buying fancy things. They're paying bills and living, you know what I mean? But at the same point, if you talk to them, they're the happiest people in the world. More so than some people I know that work, at certain jobs that, they went to school for 6-7 years, and, and I talk to them, they're drinking every night and whatnot. So it's like, I think happiness is the key, more so than money.
How would you define happiness, though, for you?
Journey. I don't think happiness is like, I am happy. I I think happy is like, I'm happy today, and then tomorrow is going to be a struggle. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the constant battle. But I think that's the beauty of life. Marilyn Monroe said it best. If things were good all the time, you wouldn't appreciate anything. You know, if things were never bad, then you wouldn't have a perspective of what good really was. So I think like it's the yin and yang kind of theory behind it. You know, you need good and bad for things. Like there's no such thing as like I'm ultimately happy. If you are, you're lying. You know what I mean? Like we all go through shit. Excuse me, I don't know if I can curse.
Well, nothing is perfect, right?
No, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And I think that's a whole another thing in music. It's like, here's like the auto-tune thing. Is like maybe, like music needs that aggression or that rasp or that rawness sometimes. You know, that's what I like about a lot of punk bands. Is like you'll never hear a lot of reverb and stuff on the vocals. It's just dry and raw. And that's cool because like you can relate to some of those artists, like as far as what they're feeling. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the vocal's not the most catchiest thing, but it's like it gives you a feeling that's like, damn, you know?
Yeah. So when it comes to music that you find that inspires you,
Yeah.
is it a lot of punk, or are there some subgenres that no one would expect?
There are a lot of subgenres. I listen to everything, and even lately I've started even to dabble into some country. But I listen to everything, man. Actually, some of my best friends like listen to jazz and stuff, like heavy jazz. And I'm not to the point where I can name you know, 10 jazz artists and be like very specific about it. But I love hearing new music, and actually, if anybody that I know is listening, send me new music all the time. I like anything. Like, there's nothing that I won't listen to. I love different talent. I like hearing different things. Like, you know, you can find me at a mosh pit or, you know, by a campfire, you know, listening to tunes. It really doesn't matter. I love it all.
And on that note, let's hear one of your songs.
Cool, let's do it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Because we should take a bit of a music break, but also just kind of, I don't know, show what you're talking about. So,
Cool, yeah, for sure.
Which song do you want to play for us?
Gee, that's a good question. What do we have on the list here? Do we have Cyanide and Happiness? That one?
We do, actually.
All right, well, we can roll that one up. That one's also going to be on dark mode, actually. Dark mode.
Which is coming out
Tomorrow.
Oh.
Dark mode releases tomorrow. I've been pretty excited, but it's a free project. We may put it on Spotify and all that stuff later, depending on how it does. But yeah, we just want to put out some free content, let people enjoy it. You know what I mean? So everybody can enjoy it. You don't got to pay a cent. Just love it.
All right, so we are going to hear Cyanide and Happiness by Brandon Burkley, which is also featuring Concept.
Yeah. Shout out to Concept.
Who is the Music Prophet alumni.
Yeah, he's been on the show. You're saying?
He has.
Yeah. Shout out to him, man.
So
Seen him the other day at Winners. We were just balling out, shopping. Just kidding.
of course, I mean, Winners is where you go and ball, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Balling on a budget.
So we're gonna play Cyanide and Happiness, and we'll be back in a few minutes. And we are back.
You're listening to the hottest hits at 5 on CKLU. I've always wanted to do that.
96.7
Yeah,
FM.
I always had to do that. Said the radio.
It's fun, man. It's like the radio. I feel like being on radio, as fun as it is.
Oh yeah, this is amazing. Like, I don't know why. Like I know there's nobody in the room, well, but us and the camera dude. But it's just like I feel like so many more people are attending in a sense. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
When it comes to performing live shows,
Yeah.
because you have done it over the years, but you aren't really a massive live show type of person.
Depends. Like lately, I've been taking a bit of hiatus for a single person. Like we put on a show a couple years back at the Bollo tour at Peddler's Pub, and we sold that one out. We had like a light show and all this. Like we try to go all out. I don't want to delve too much into it, but the live show I'm working on with the band right now, we're going balls to the wall. Like I mean, every single aspect from wardrobe to lighting to the sound to just it's gonna be something bigger. We're looking to have the arena show in bars. You know, like something real different. So the live show aspect is gonna be growing.
Yeah, is that something that you consciously think about? Because a lot of the music that you have made in the last few years, anyway, is something that is probably better consumed in headphones than live. I feel like.
I would agree. I think that's why we brought the band in now. It's kind of more of that like feeling where it's like I hate being on stage. Well, not that I hate it, but I prefer to play with a live band. Because when you're played like a backing track, especially when like there's vocals to it, it doesn't give you the same kind of feeling, you know, the same energy. And I do see that a lot in a lot of hip hop things. So like even the song you just heard now, Cyanide and Happiness, we play with the band. So if you were to see that live now, there's no more digital aspect of it. Like you're actually watching a live band perform this. So I think it's something that I'm definitely working on. I think the new material that's coming out is definitely a lot more energetic, you know, as far as like watching it live. But I do agree with the headphone consumption thing, especially for a lot of past tracks for sure.
What was the inspiration to jump into hip hop compared to everything else? Every other genre.
I started out, like I said, in pop punk bands, and then like hip hop was always a love of mine, like I said, but I also felt like I didn't fit in. So this new kind of wave of hip hop started coming, and I noticed this, like, you know, very slowly it started coming, and I said, you know, like, I think now is my chance. So I tried putting together a couple songs and actually put it on Facebook, and people were like, oh, that sounds really good. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can, you know, kind of meld into this. And I think, like, for me, I've always wanted to be a musician. So I was looking to kind of find my place more than anything. And I think now it's kind of grown to a point where I'm focused less on trying to create music for people. I'm creating music for myself, but in return, that's creating an organic audience. So, like, it's actually better. Like, I don't know, long term kind of worked out.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to, like, when you find a niche.
Yeah.
I feel like you almost not organically will find it after a while, especially if you've consumed a ton of music and culture.
Yeah, I think, you know what's funny is I found out more about myself through my audience. Because, like, I've noticed that you start gathering a specific type of people, and you go, oh, that's who I am. It's like Sigmund Freud's looking glass, you know, theory or mirror, or whatever, that like people have like the different perspective of who they are. And I kind of like have found my niche and my audience just by being more organic and kind of like writing about things that are more personal to me, or just like, you know, I have different avenues that I gain an audience from. But I think the more you're yourself and the more you're vulnerable, the more you can kind of like put yourself out there, the more you'll find that niche audience, or the people that want to actually connect with you, rather than trying to like, I'm going to make a hit single, I'm going to go out there and put out a song for this group of people that I don't really know. Where it's like a lot of my fans on Instagram, and I hate to say fans, they're my friends, a lot of my friends on Instagram, I'm serious, like they're just, like I talk to them daily, and now like I try to anyway, you know what I mean, I try to keep up with it best I can, and I apologize if I don't, but I know some of these people like better than I thought I would ever know, like an audience, which makes it cooler because it's like you actually connect with people, and it's like, it's a different level of support. So when people are buying your merchandise or listening to your music, like I really, really care about those people. You know what I mean? I've heard our artists in the past say like, oh, I love my fans, I love my audience. And I always used to think like, that's so pretentious. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, you don't love them, but like, I get it. I think you actually can, because it's like those people are showing you love and you don't even know them. So I mean, like, you want to reciprocate that in any way that you can. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, especially when an artist is doing a live meet and greet.
Yeah.
You know, like when someone like John Mayer says he loves his fans, you can call him out, but then when you realize how many hours he spends doing a meet and greet,
right,
and seeing the tweets and everything that's related to his hashtags,
yeah,
like it makes sense.
Yeah, he's a real person. He's genuine. You know, he engages with people. It's like, I think some people do have their PR behind them. They say, don't forget to smile and don't forget to respond to this or do whatever. But it's like, I talk to people because I want to talk to people. You know what I mean? And we were just saying, like, being organic and natural with people is a better way to grow, I think, a core audience than to be fake, because like people can see through that. You know what I mean? No matter what you think or what you do, it's like people see through gimmicks and BS. Like I see so many rappers out there that try to be gangster. You know, I don't think they even are gangster at all. Like, you know, they go home and then they're, you know, they got a loving, you know, family and all this stuff and yada yada yada. And that's actually like kind of relates to the numbers 999 that I use a lot. It's like it's reversing the 666, you know, like flipping it upside down. Like I think that everybody's got this idea that you have to be this one way to fit into, you know, hip hop or music, when I don't think you have to. It's like, you know, be the opposite of what everybody else is doing sometimes.
That's actually a really good segue, because I feel like, and it's something that it's sort of not a cultural thing, but I feel like when you look at your music and everything you've done over the last like 10 plus years, you sort of, you'll go between delving into culture, doing something, then you'll go on the opposite side and do something you like. So where is that middle point of, I'm doing this because I enjoy music, but also I'm doing this because culture is demanding I do it?
I think I used to care about that. Like, I mean, I think dark mode is really going to change people's opinion of what I'm putting out there and what I'm doing. And then what we have working on now as a band is, it's a completely different direction, I think, musically. Like, for me, dark mode's already an old album. You know, like I recorded it, that record's just like, it's already done for me. I've heard it, I've exhausted it, and for everybody else it's going to be new. So I think in my mind I'm like, oh, this is where I'm at, and I keep forgetting that you guys only have like the songs that have like come out semi recently. So like, I don't know, the narrative has changed a little bit. This new stuff is going to be less for the audience that I was trying to impress before, and now I think it's for myself first and foremost, and second of all for my core fan base, like the people that actually really F with me. You know what I mean? The people that actually want to stick by me or actually are my fans are the ones that will really enjoy this album. Ability's not rewarded, you know, so a lot of musicians are kind of out here trying to be, I have to be this big success, I have to have the gold chain, or like if you're a country star, I gotta have the leather jacket, I gotta have this image, and then people are trying so hard to live up to that rather than to like actually write really good music. Like, why don't you invest more of that time into like becoming yourself and writing music that means something to you? I think like that's where real success comes from. I haven't seen an artist that's lasted over the years that's been a gimmick, you know, or like, you know, has been falsified. Like I'm gonna use like, you know, MC Hammer or something. Just like people like that fall off after a while because it's like it was cool to have parachute pants for a minute. You know what I mean? But then beyond that, when the parachute.
But then 2001 hit,
right.
And that is just no one
yeah,
even.
Skinny jeans,
right?
Talking about. Yeah, exactly. So the narrative changes. You know what I mean? It just depends on what it is. So I think writing music, like I said, there's bands that like to this day people will listen to, and they're still touring. Is because they wrote a song that somebody was listening to when they were in high school, and I do think, you know, high school is an impactful point. That's why I keep mentioning that.
Because it is a turning point in most people's lives.
It's when you're figuring yourself out, and when you kind of like, you say, oh, this is who I am, or this is the kind of music I like. And I think that's a continuous journey throughout the rest of your life. I don't think it, like in high school specifically, is where you're defined. It's like, this is who I am, and put me in the box and go there. I think it's a problem a lot of people have now is like, you know, you can be in your 30s and 40s and still discovering yourself. You know, Gary V, talks about this a lot, that like keep going, doing different things. Like that goes back to like people saying like success or failure. It depends, you know, like everybody's perspective is going to be one way, but who gives a shit what anybody thinks? You know what I mean? Like, do what makes you happy and work on those goals, and eventually it's going to come together for you.
And speaking of goals, we should jump into another track.
Yeah.
Because your songs are shorter, which is kind of helpful.
Yeah, especially this new one. I don't know if you got the new one there from Dark Mode.
Yeah. It's
a minute something long. It's pretty short.
I feel like we should play that one at the end though.
Yes, I agree. We'll go out with a bang.
Yeah. Otherwise, so what track would you like? Because we could throw on either Nightmares or Greater State. It's your choice.
Damn. We can flip a coin. I'm gonna go. Let's do Greater State. I think that one's a good one for the radio.
I like that as a metaphorical coin flip. I like that.
Yeah. Let's see.
So we will play Greater State by Brandon Burkley.
Burkley.
And we'll be back on CKLU 96.7 FM on the Music Prophet.
Burkley, baby. What's up? We're here in CKLU right now. We got Rand Burkley, Kid Icarus, Greater State playing. Pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked. It's going really well. It's a lot of fun. Big shout out to Canadian behind the camera. Thanks, brother. Really appreciate it. Big shout out to you. And yeah, man. So we got Dark Mode coming out tomorrow. December 7th, there is a show for CKLU, extra supporting the radio station here. They have free CDs. Free CDs at this place, man. That's fucking crazy.
We are back with Brandon Burkley on the Music Prophet. So for the last segment, I mean, Greater State sort of. I was trying to think of like a clever way to transition with that name, but it was just gonna be cliche.
Whatever.
But I'm thinking it'd be interesting to kind of jump into how you've changed as a person. So not just, obviously you said that you're looking more for yourself, but when it comes to life in general, I'm curious how your experience through music over the years has changed how you live your life in general.
That's a good question. How it has changed my life, I think I've become a lot more serious with it. I think I've kind of gained the confidence to realize that you can like do different things. How it's changed my life, actually, I started like tattooing myself, you know, a lot more. Because I kind of looked at it in the sense of like an inspiration of being like, forget a normal job. Don't focus on doing that stuff. And I went back and forth in the past couple of years, to be honest. I went through some depression and some different kind of things that I've been fighting with. And I was working at a different place, and like I developed ulcers because I was just like, I literally hated, what I was doing. And I was waking up every single morning to work, to live, to work. And I'm just like, no, I can't do this. And so I kind of have gotten back on the treadmill, so to speak, and I've been working on this stuff and film as well in the background, and working, with Eastlink in different avenues to try and pull things together. So I think like for me, I'm more focused on it now. Now it's like I know it's definitely what I want to do. I've kind of stopped taking the opinions of other people. Like Gary Vaynerchuk often says, like now I don't really care about being the richest guy on the block. I don't care if I don't do this, but like if I disappointed my parents, or if I, you know what I mean, like. You can't worry about those little things, because I think long term, again, coming back to happiness, you will not be happy if you're living for somebody else, or if you end up at a desk job just to get a paycheck. Like money is, you have to be responsible, you got to live, but at the same point, if you're working just to work, you know that's a slave mentality to me, man. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. No amount of money is worth freedom.
So what was your turning point then?
To be honest, I think it all started when I had cancer. Back around 2011, 2012, and that's when it kind of changed. I made a film, and I was really booming. Then I did an advertising company, was making tons of money. I kind of realized I was really unhappy though, because to be honest, the more money, Jay-Z said it best, the more money, more problems, and it's true. There's more people to deal with. The more wealthy people that you deal with sometimes have less of a heart, and I'm kind of a people person. Like I like to relate to people and actually have like genuine relationships with people, instead of like, we do this deal and that's that. So I kind of didn't like a lot of people I was working with, to be completely honest, and it really just made me kind of disgusted with the idea of just working for money. And I've done that many times, working for other people as well. It just leaves me unsatisfied. I think, not that I need to be my own boss, but I love to create, and if I'm not creating, I'm not happy, and that's what it all boils down to for me.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of creative types will connect with. Mm-hmm. I feel like, because as a creative person, if you don't have that freedom to sit down and design something, write something, or make something just because you can. Yeah. I feel like it's not as fun or freeing as it should be.
Yeah, well here's an example. It's like I did great, I made great money doing advertising. But then somebody comes to you and they say, I want this ad done like this, only like this. And when you try to explain to them, oh, okay, well, like, creatively, or even like, from a graphic design standpoint, they don't care. And it's just like, no, I want this ugly blue on this, clashy purple. Like it doesn't, and they're just going all over the place, or they have like glows and gradients on their logos, like they don't understand minimalism or like anything like that. And you try to explain it to them. So like, you're creative. People say, well, don't you love being creative? It's like, you're not really creative though. It kind of puts you in a box as far as that goes. So like,
and also think about your audience. I mean, that's getting into like a pretty niche
yeah
business topic, but you're right. You're thinking about your audience, you're thinking about the target.
Well, it's less creative for yourself. Is my mm-hmm. Point is like, I mean, if you're creating, like art is about expression, or it comes from experience. So I think if you're kind of like putting a tap on that, or saying like, you're creating for gimmick, or you're creating for a client, or you're creating for yada yada yada. I think it's why people hate record labels, because you always hear like, I can't do this, or I don't do this. It's like I hear a lot of film producers talk about like, well, we had to make the movie around McDonald's toys. It's like, so like they can't write certain characters because they can't put on a McDonald's cup. So I think like that's where like the creativity doesn't work, and people expect like, creativity is not a machine. It can't be spit out like a machine. You can't be like, all right, let's just put the nickel into the machine and it's going to spit me out some kind of beautiful idea, because we're not those type beings, So I think like, yeah, that's the difference. Is being creatively happy is important.
What are some tricks that you found over the years to actually tap into your creativity and let it flow?
Drugs and alcohol. I hate to say it, but it's true. Like it makes me kind of go to a place where I think I can be a little bit more vulnerable. But I think actually, what I'm going to be, another thing that's really important is my friends around me, my core support system. They kind of like give me the confidence to write music for myself. I see them doing their own things, and they're so happy with themselves, and I'm like, they're not as goal oriented to become musicians, but I kind of take a page from their book. I look how happy they are, just kind of enjoying the process rather than being like, oh, we have to make it tomorrow. And I think that's where a lot of my strength comes from.
Yeah, the inspiration, right? Because you can watch what your friends are doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to my buddy Brennan Subzali. who he'd love to hear his name right now. But no, he's been a great inspiration. He's a really positive influence in my life, actually, and I'm really happy to have him as a friend. We were in a band, Lucretia, previous last couple of years there and working together, and he just kind of got me back on the track of doing like pop punk music and, you know, kind of remembering where it all started, you know. So shouts out to Brendo.
And Lucretia did well. It was
fun, man.
I feel like the band had a fun vibe to it.
We really did. We had a blast. Like it sad it came to an end. You know, two of the members had kids and whatnot, and very busy, so we couldn't do as much as we'd like with it. But you know, from that spawned Drug Wolf, which the bassist Jake Susie's in that. Shout out Drug Wolf. They are releasing an album soon. I can't remember the exact date, but yeah, definitely shout out to them.
Yeah, if you when it comes to a Sudbury band that is starting to rise, they're
they're awesome.
Drug Wolf is the next gen.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Love going to the pit. If you see Drug Wolf live, go and smash yourself in a pit. Absolute, lots of fun, high energy. Yeah, for sure.
So with punk, so when it comes to like punk and hard rock, what's your role normally? Are you the songwriter, guitarist? What is your kind of go-to?
I'm a lyricist. I write lyrics and melody, and usually come up with harmonies for backups and whatnot. But like right now, we're working with a band, Nathan Quartermash and Dustin Moore, for this new Burkley sound. And Nate will come up with the guitar's parts, and then Dustin will rock some crazy drums over top of it, and then I'll come up with a vocal melody over top. So they kind of produce a beat in a sense. But like the cool thing about working with these guys right now is that like we're still going under the Burkley name, but there's more depth to it. Like when you come to see a performance now, there's actually more people. Like the album we're working on, I want to do. We're working on this right now. Is we're gonna have like acoustic song with just them two. So I won't even feature myself or anything, you know, on the album because I do want to, you know, feature other artists on there too and kind of have more of a band mentality. I love the brotherhood of being in a band, you know, or you know, brothers, sisters, whatever.
Yeah, and bring people along with you on the ride, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Being, you know, you could be the richest man in the world and have no friends. Or no family, whatever, you know what I mean? I think that's a pretty lonely existence. Like, that sucks. So, like, yeah, working with a band, man, it's like you feed off energy, though, too. You know what I mean? When we're on stage, we can joke with each other. We you know, it's a feeling. They say, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm pretty sure it is, that when a band plays together, everybody's heart is in sync. Which is just, like, kind of goes to show you, you know what I mean? Like, of how, like, that rhythm really affects, like, more than just, like, your mental state, you know what I mean? Like, you literally become one. Like, literally, you're a functioning item, you know? I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's a good way to wrap it up.
Cool, yeah, for sure.
Right?
Sweet.
Which, that 45 minutes disappeared really fast.
This is awesome. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was good, man.
Thanks, Kyle, man. Really appreciate this. This is sweet.
So so tell us where we can find all of Brandon Burkley's music. All of your music.
All of
obviously.
my music. You can find all of my music under one simple place. Go to www.brandb.ca and you can find every single link there. You can check out music videos, buy some merchandise, listen to Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, you name it.
Sweet.
Yes.
And yeah, so we're going to go out with the song. So let's check out, I think we should do one of your newest tracks, maybe.
Yeah, here we go. Can I introduce this one?
Yeah, is it?
Cool, alright, so we got Ski Masters. This is from Dark Mode, which releases tomorrow, November 15th.
Yes. So we are going to play that. There's been like 4 days in a row of silence.
Actually, the fire truck, because they know we're about to play Dark Mode.
Yes.
They said we better get ready.
They're getting prepared.
Burn down.
So, on that note, thanks for listening to The Music Prophet.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a fun episode, and we will play Ski Mask Lovers, and we'll see you next week.